You'll never look at these places the same way again. Some places you're never supposed to go, but I went anyway. An abandoned church where something whispered from the dark, a farmhouse hiding a faceless man, a quarry where trespassers are hunted, and a lake house frozen in time, but not empty. These are the stories that still haunt me, and I dare you to watch till the end. Have you ever found yourself drawn to places you were never supposed to go? Because for me, that curiosity almost turned into something I can't explain to this day. I've always been the kind of person who preferred solitude. While other kids were hanging out, I was wandering cemeteries, old trails, and eventually abandoned buildings. And with Google Earth, I discovered a trick. Zoom into forgotten corners, spot decaying structures, and make a list. My weekends were spent chasing ruins most people wouldn't dare to enter. But one location on my list changed everything. An old, forgotten church hidden deep in the woods. The moment I saw it, broken glass, a leaning steeple, and an unsealed well. Right out front, I felt uneasy. Looking down that well, I heard something, a faint click every 2 seconds, over and over. Not water, not an animal, something else. I should have left then, but I didn't. Inside, dust filled the air. The pews were shattered, the pulpit crooked, and an arched doorway led deeper into shadows. My flashlight cut through cobwebs as I made my way to a basement door that stood wide open. For the first time ever while exploring, I hesitated. Step by step, I descended. Then, crack. A stair gave way, and I crashed into the dirt below. Pain shot through me, but before I could recover, I heard it, a voice. High-pitched, broken, almost childlike. Words I couldn't understand except one. Hello. My flashlight beam landed on a tunnel carved into the stone. And yes, the voice was coming from there. Every instinct told me to leave, but curiosity dragged me forward. The tunnel walls were rough, dug by hand. My flashlight flickered, and suddenly the gibberish grew louder, then silence, and then the clicking. The same sound from the well, closer, louder, echoing all around me. My heart pounded. I ran, crawled up the staircase, ignoring the broken step, dropped my flashlight but didn't dare look back. Out the doors, past the well, silence. Dead silence. No birds, no wind, nothing. I drove home in complete silence that day, music off, mind racing. And here's the truth. I still don't know what I heard down there. Maybe it was a prank. Maybe not. But tell me, if you heard a voice call out, "Hello?" from the darkness of a tunnel, would you answer back? This story still haunts me, and I honestly don't know if I'll ever forget it. It all started with a simple idea. Me, John, and Anthony, just 3 friends looking for a little adventure. We'd been fishing in the woods near farmland when a farmer chased us out with his dog. Pretty normal, right? Except he was already on the phone with someone else while yelling at us. That felt strange. But instead of leaving it alone, we did the stupidest thing possible. We went back the next evening. The place was massive acres of farmland, deep woods, and the kind of silence that creeps under your skin. At first, it was innocent. Horses grazing, the sun setting. But then we stumbled onto something we were never supposed to see. A rundown house, a broken RV, and scattered across the property, trophy cars, dozens of them, Ferraris, Bentleys, Corvettes, Range Rovers, some stripped down, parted out. It hit us, this wasn't just farmland. We were standing in the middle of what looked like a car theft ring, and that's when things got darker. We peeked inside the camper where someone was living there. Fresh food, bedding, fishing rods, then a shed reeking of something foul. We laughed it off. What if it's a body? But none of us really believed it until the sound of the property gate slammed shut in the distance. Headlights cut across the road. A van. Someone was here. We sprinted into the woods. Heart pounding, branches ripping at our clothes. That should have been our cue to leave. But curiosity dragged us deeper. On the far end of the property, we found a massive, vine-covered camper. Haven't moved in decades. Right next to it, a jet ski, also swallowed by vines. And then another. Smell. Rotten. Heavy. Like death. A freezer hidden in the brush. None of us dared to open it. By now, the joking stopped. The air was wrong. Then the moment that will never leave me. We climbed a rock for a better view, laughing nervously until John froze, his face turned pale, he refused to speak. When I looked for myself, I saw it too, a man, sitting at a table, a black cat beside him. But his face wasn't human. No hair, no eyes, no mouth, no nose. just smooth, pale skin stretched across a skull. And then the woman next to him. She locked eyes with me, and she started running, straight toward us. We bolted. Through the woods, stumbling, panting, convinced we were being followed. The noises behind us, stomping feet, galloping, screams that didn't sound human. Every shadow felt alive. Every branch snap made my stomach drop. Somehow, we made it back. We never looked over our shoulders. And I'll tell you this, I don't know if what I saw was human. Maybe it was someone in bandages, maybe it wasn't. But the image of that faceless man is burned into my memory, and I'll never, ever go back there. So I'll ask you this. If you were in the woods and a faceless figure turned its head toward you, would you keep watching, or would you run? I went to a quarry in McKinney, Texas once, and I swear to you what happened there still chills me to this day. At first, it seemed harmless. Just me and my friends, Josh and Miles, chasing some thrill after watching YouTube videos of cliff jumping at this quarry. It was only 30 minutes away, so why not? But the moment we arrived, something felt wrong. A dirt road wound through the property, lined with "no trespassing" signs, blasting warnings, and even one massive board spray painted with the words "Trespassers will be shot on sight." Most people would have turned back right there, but we didn't. We parked, climbed the fence, and made our way inside. For a while, it was fun, just kids cliff jumping, laughing, until a black Hummer pulled up. A woman in her mid-30s rolled down her window and screamed, "What the hell are you doing on my property?" We tried to play dumb, but then she grabbed her phone and said words that froze my blood. John got the gun. At that moment, all three of us knew we were done for. Somehow she let us go, told us the cops were coming, and we ran faster than we'd ever run before. I thought that would be the end of it, but I was wrong. Months later, Miles asked if I'd go back, this time with a bigger group. Against my better judgment, I agreed. We parked at a church nearby to stay hidden and made our way in. For about an hour, everything seemed fine, until a silver van appeared at the end of the dirt road. It wasn't the Hummer, but every instinct in my body told me something was about to go wrong. And then gunshots. 2 cracks of a rifle shattered the silence. Then more, echoing closer. We panicked. The exit was nearly 300 yards away, and every step felt like a race against death. Bullets rang out, 8 shots in total. My heart pounded as I sprinted with my friends, not daring to look back. We reached the fence, scrambled over it, and hit the dirt road running. That's when fate stepped in. The same guy who had warned us earlier about the Hummer just happened to be there in his white truck. We begged him for a ride, and he took us off the property before whoever was shooting could catch up. That was the last time I ever set foot in that quarry, and I never want to see it again. So now I'll ask you, would you risk your life for just a thrill, or would you have turned back the moment you saw that sign? Back in 2018, my cousin Ryan and I were obsessed with urban exploration. We'd wandered through old factories, collapsing farmhouses, even forgotten schools that felt like they might fall apart if the wind blew too hard. We weren't reckless. We always checked the floors, wore masks when necessary, and avoided any place that might still be guarded. But there was one spot we'd been avoiding for months, a place that carried more rumors than any other, the massive, abandoned house on the shore of Lake Harlow. It was the kind of property you only ever glimpsed from the road, hidden behind tall, rusted gates bent inward years ago, with pines and wild brush choking the driveway. Locals whispered endlessly about it. Some swore a wealthy family had lived there in the '90s until they vanished overnight. No goodbyes, no moving trucks, just gone. They supposedly left everything behind: clothes, furniture, dishes, even family photos frozen in time. Theories spread like wildfire. Financial ruin, witness protection, something darker. Whatever the truth, no one ever bought the house. For over 2 decades, it just sat there, rotting, watching the lake in silence. That afternoon was gray and still when Ryan and I finally decided to go. We parked a half-mile away at a trailhead and cut through the woods to avoid being seen. When the roofline first appeared between the trees, I realized just how enormous it was. 3 stories tall, wide windows, a wraparound porch that sagged and groaned with decay. Paint hung from the wood like sunburnt skin. It wasn't just abandoned, it was withering away. We circled around quietly to the back. To my surprise, the door was unlocked. The moment we stepped inside, the air shifted. Still, heavy, faintly smelling of lake water and dust. The kitchen was the first thing we saw. Plates stacked neatly on the counter, A coffee cup with a dried brown ring. Cabinets open, revealing boxes of food long expired. And on the wall, a calendar frozen in May 1997. It felt like stepping into a photograph. We moved slowly through the downstairs. Furniture draped in yellowed sheets. A fireplace still holding the ashes of a long-dead fire. Family photos on the walls. Smiling faces at birthdays and Christmas gatherings. Only now, the sun had bleached them so badly that their faces looked ghostly. White. That's when I felt chills crawling up my spine. Upstairs was worse. The first bedroom had a perfectly made bed, but every dresser drawer was empty and yanked open. Another room's floor was buried under stacks of newspapers, all from July 1997. Every single one circled in the classifieds. Each circle marks someone searching for private buyers, quiet transactions, and then the master bedroom. The curtains were drawn tight. I pulled them back only to find the windows had been boarded shut from the inside. A closet door stood locked with a rusted padlock. Deep scratches scarred the floor in front of it, as if something heavy had been dragged but never freed. Ryan wanted to break it open. I refused. Something about it felt wrong. Instead, he suggested we check the basement. The entrance was tucked off the kitchen. When I opened the door, damp air rushed up to meet us. It smelled of mildew and rot. The stairs were wooden, each one creaking like it was ready to splinter. The basement was large, stone-walled, lined with rotting shelves. Old cans, a broken lantern. Nothing unusual until our lights fell on the center of the room. 5 chairs. Mismatched, old, arranged in a perfect circle. Unlike the rest of the house, these weren't covered in dust. They looked like they'd been used recently. I turned to Ryan to whisper, but then froze. Somewhere above us, a door slammed shut. The sound echoed through the house, followed by footsteps. Slow, deliberate. We killed our flashlights and held our breath. The steps grew louder, crossing the floor above us, then stopping, right above the basement door. And then, the handle rattled. My blood went ice cold. We hadn't seen a single car, no voices, nothing. Whoever was up there had been silent, until now. Ryan grabbed my arm and yanked me toward the far end of the basement. A broken ground-level window sat half-covered by a rotting shutter, barely big enough to crawl through. I didn't care. I shoved myself through, scraping my jacket on the glass, dropping into the wet dirt outside. Ryan followed instantly. We ran, full speed through the trees, not daring to look back. But when I finally did, I wished I hadn't. The basement door was wide open, and in the frame stood a figure. Too far to see clearly, just tall, motionless. Its head tilted ever so slightly like it was watching us. We didn't stop until the car was in sight. The drive home was silent. Neither of us spoke. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the circle of chairs, the boarded windows, the locked closet, and worst of all, that figure. A few weeks later, Ryan told me he'd posted about the house in a Facebook group. Someone replied, an older man, saying others had reported seeing someone inside that place too. Maybe a squatter. That would make sense. But then who set up the chairs, and why did they look so recently used? I try not to think about it too much, because honestly, I'm just glad we got out of there alive.